Karen struggled for all she was worth, but it was to no avail. The creature's hold on her was far too strong for her to break. By the time they had reached the area where she and Matilda were being held, Karen was too exhausted to offer any further resistance. They carried her over to where Matilda still sat in silence and unceremoniously dumped her on the ground. The largest of the creatures moved forward and towered over the two women, staring from one to the other and then back again. Its menacingly yellow eyes felt as if they were penetrating straight through to Karen's heart, and she instinctively moved closer to her fellow prisoner for comfort. After a while, the leader of the creatures turned to the rest of the pack and relayed its orders to them via a series of grunts and gestures. As before, the others moved in closer on the hapless women until they were clustered around them, closing off any possible avenue of escape. Karen had no fight left in her. She knew that whatever their plan for her and her companion was, she could either comply or die fighting. Either way, she silently accepted that she would never see her baby again. One way or the other, she was going to die in this cave. Of that, she was certain. The only things she did not know were how and when. When two of the beasts leaned down towards her, she did not resist. She lifted her weary body off the floor and stood between them as they grabbed hold of her by the wrists. Two of the others walked around to lift Matilda. Suddenly, Matilda flew into a rage and began screaming and shouting and lashing out at the beasts. It was as if a switch had just been flipped inside her brain. This was the first time since she had been brought there that Karen had seen Matilda move, let alone fight. Where was this girl when she tried to make her escape earlier? The two beasts holding Karen tightened their grip on her, feeling perhaps that she might be inspired to fight back after watching Matilda. But Karen was still too exhausted from her attempt earlier. She watched as Matilda lashed out with hands and feet, swinging wildly and uncontrollably, while the creatures did their best to try and grab one of her limbs. The largest of them was clearly not impressed by their failure, and began to grunt orders at them while shaking its enormous fists in the air. Just then, Karen heard the sound of running feet from around the corner. Her heart skipped a beat as she immediately thought that Jerry had somehow discovered her location and brought the police with him. The creatures stopped struggling with Matilda, and everyone turned to see who was approaching from around the next bend. Karen's heart sank when Jody appeared, brandishing a crowbar and looking as if she was ready to kill someone. The young girl made a beeline for Karen, ignoring the beasts. She lifted the crowbar and shoved the curved hook at one end under Karen's chin, forcing her head back.
"Where's Charlotte?"
she snarled, bringing her face within centimeters of Karen's. For a moment, Karen was stunned by the question. If Jody did not have her baby, then who did? Jody forced the crowbar up a little further, hard enough to make Karen choke.
"I said, what have you done with baby Charlotte?"
"You took her," Karen spluttered, trying to twist her face away to relieve the pressure on her throat. Jody moved in until their noses were almost touching. When she next spoke, Karen could feel droplets of spittle hitting her chin as Jody spoke through gritted teeth.
"Yeah, I know. But then you got those two to take her away from me, didn't you? Now where have they taken her?"
Karen stared down at the girl, bewildered. She had no idea what she was talking about, but now she was even more concerned for the safety of her baby daughter. Her one saving grace throughout this ordeal had been that Jody would at least make sure that no harm came to her. Now it appeared someone else had her,